Solomon never asked for gold, yet gold chased him. He never sought power, yet kings bowed before him. Why? Because Solomon understood the one truth most men ignore. Wisdom is the root of all riches, not effort, not ambition, understanding. This speech is not about history. It is about you and the questions you've been unable to answer. Why do you still feel lost, though you work harder than ever? Why does your life lack direction, though you chase every goal? Why do you read, strive, push, yet remain without peace, without dominion? Because you have pursued what Solomon refused. You have sought results without law. You have chased success without understanding the structure that sustains it. In the next hour, I will hand you the principles that made Solomon the wisest man to ever live. You will learn how to govern your thoughts, how to build wealth without worshiping it, how to hear the voice of truth in silence, and how to become the kind of man God Himself would trust with abundance. If you are ready, let us begin. Introduction: The Secret Wisdom of King Solomon. You are about to unlock the spiritual logic behind one of the wisest men who ever walked this earth, not because he conquered lands or built empires by blood, but because he understood law. I speak not of modern law. I speak of the law behind all things, the law that governs power, gold, peace, and purpose, the law Solomon mastered. Most men today want gold, but few are willing to become gold. They want the palace, but neglect the cornerstone. Solomon asked not for gold, but for understanding, and the heavens answered. What he received, dominion, wealth, peace, and mastery, did not arrive by chance, war, or inheritance. It arrived by divine response to definite mental desire aligned with eternal law. You chase results. You grind. You copy strategy. You worship the external. But understand this: the ancients did not build temples, kingdoms, or dynasties with noise. They built in silence. They built by law. And Solomon built what no modern strategy can buy, a name that echoes through time. The real treasure was not Solomon's gold, but the mind that magnetized it. He aligned with divine law first, and all riches followed. That same law still governs wealth today, but men no longer seek it. They seek shortcuts. And for this, they remain slaves to systems they should command. You ask for influence, for abundance, for clarity. But let me ask you this: have you asked for understanding? Have you asked for the wisdom to govern that which you seek, or only for the outcome? Solomon asked rightly. He knew. The man who governs his own mind soon governs all things under heaven. What I am about to reveal will not comfort you. It will confront you, but truth always does. I will show you that you have not failed because of lack of tools, support, or timing. You have failed because you have not yet understood the laws Solomon obeyed, the wisdom that turns men into kings. And so I say to you now, I seek understanding above possessions. For when you understand, you will no longer chase gold. You will command it. For wisdom is wealth in seed form. When you plant it, nurture it, obey it, harvest will come, and no man, no system, no failure can take it from you. In this speech, I will teach you how to build wealth the way Solomon did, through inner law, through quiet clarity, through alignment with principle, through obedience to order. No modern trick will substitute for what you're about to learn. What follows is not hype, but hierarchy, not theory, but throne. Let this be your declaration. I become the ruler by ruling myself. Let that identity replace all others. The world has enough followers. It has enough noise. What it lacks, what it cries for, is the return of the man of law, the return of the one who rules first within, and therefore cannot be ruled from without. This is not for the man who wants ease. This is not for the man who seeks temporary advantage. This is for the man who desires dominion, not applause, power, not popularity, legacy, not luxury. And that man must learn as Solomon learned. Riches are not granted. They are revealed to those who seek wisdom. You have reached a line in the sand. Cross it. From this moment forward, speak no longer of your poverty. Speak no longer of what you lack. Begin to speak of understanding. Begin to speak of inner rule. Begin to move not by emotion, but by divine direction. Let Solomon's path become yours. I will walk you through the laws that created his empire. I will break down the order that secured his reign. And if you listen, not just with your ears, but with your soul, you will become as he became, the man who receives what others chase, the one who is trusted with what others misuse. The hour is now. Begin. Part 1. True wealth begins with understanding, not money. Solomon did not begin his reign with ambition for riches. He began it with reverence, with a question asked not by the greedy, but by the wise. Grant me an understanding heart. And because his desire aligned with eternal law, riches followed without him asking. Understanding was the magnet. Wealth was the result. The modern man reverses this law. He prays for the gold, not the mind to hold it. He begs for results, not for the wisdom that commands results. And so he remains a beggar outside the gate of his own kingdom. What you pursue reveals what you worship, and what you worship determines what you become. Men fail not for lack of opportunity, but for lack of inner clarity. They ask, how do I get more? But never ask, how do I become more? Solomon knew the latter was the path. He became the man who could handle what others ruin. And because of that, what others chased him. Do not be fooled by noise. Do not be seduced by urgency. Most riches today are gained by force and lost by foolishness. But riches gained by understanding last for generations. Solomon's legacy was not in coins, but in the structure of his thinking. And so must yours be. Let this now become your inner creed. I do not chase riches. I command them by wisdom. For what you chase, you admit you do not control. But what you command by law, by principle, by order, it comes as servant, not as master. Gold must never be the goal. It must always be the result. Andrew Carnegie, too, followed this pattern. He did not surround himself with entertainers or flatterers. He surrounded himself with thinkers, men who could reason, calculate, and see what others missed. His wealth was a byproduct of his ability to think in long-term law. That is why it endured. The world honors the man of thought, not noise. It follows the one who speaks slowly, but acts decisively. Solomon ruled without raising his voice. His greatest victories were not on battlefields, but in courtrooms, in moments of judgment where understanding became sword and shield. He won by mind. You are to stop asking, how do I earn more? And begin asking, how do I understand better? You are not here to become a worker. You are here to become a wise man. One wise decision is worth more than 1,000 days of labor. For wisdom buys what sweat alone never can. Every day you must ask yourself, do I understand the laws behind what I'm doing? Or am I blindly performing tasks others created? Most men live in cycles they never chose. They copy, they imitate, they mimic, but they never understand. And because of that, their labor produces only crumbs. Solomon was not born into wisdom. He chose it, he asked for it, he made wisdom his priority, and in return, it made him a ruler. He prayed, give thy servant an understanding heart, that I may judge rightly. And heaven answered, not because of his status, but because of his alignment with law. Let these words govern you now. I sow understanding and reap gold. Speak it aloud. Plant it in the soil of your mind. For gold is nothing more than the visible reward of invisible alignment. No man can fake this law. Either you become wise or you become weary. The choice is yours. You must now make study a ritual, not of trends, but of principles. Do not consume information. Extract understanding. Do not hoard knowledge. Apply judgment. Solomon studied nature, people, time, consequence. He saw through the surface of things, and for this, his words were law in his land. The fool memorizes quotes. The wise man lives the meaning behind them. The fool rushes into markets. The wise man waits, watches, judges, and moves once with full authority. Understanding gives you leverage. One accurate move from a wise mind breaks 1,000 frantic motions from a confused one. You must now clear space for study. Build a law of reflection into your daily rhythm. As Solomon wrote Proverbs, so must you write your observations. What did you see today? What patterns repeated? What words led to gain? What actions led to loss? The man who studies his own life masters it. Solomon was a recorder, a teacher, a philosopher king. He did not simply live, he learned from living. His journals were scriptures. His laws became the structure of civilization, and this came not from privilege, but from hunger to understand. That same hunger must now enter you. Stop seeking secrets in new places. Begin building understanding from the old laws you've ignored. Honor, order, cause, and effect. Stillness before decision. Purpose before motion. When you see clearly, you build permanently. That is what the wise man knows. That is what the rich man forgets. Let this final creed settle deep in your being. I do not chase riches. I command them by wisdom. I sow understanding and reap gold. Say it when you rise. Say it before you sleep. Say it until your bones believe it, and then act accordingly. Solomon became the wisest man on earth, not because he was born favored, but because he chose understanding over all else. Your wealth will follow suit. Part 2. The wise man governs his thoughts before his kingdom. Solomon declared, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." That verse is not poetry, it is law. A man's outer kingdom rises or collapses based on the state of his inner court. Thoughts are not idle, they are architects. And the man who fails to govern them will build a palace of sand. You cannot master land, wealth, relationships, or business if you cannot first master your reactions, your focus, your inner speech. The mind is either throne or battlefield. Solomon did not rise because of inheritance. He rose because he ruled within first. Peace on the outside began with order within. Men today are frantic. They want to control everything outside. People, politics, profits. But ask them, can you still your mind for 1 hour? Can you hold a vision in silence? Can you command your thoughts like soldiers? Most cannot, and that is why they fail. Power begins with thought governance. Solomon judged entire nations from the stillness of his inner wisdom. He could listen to 2 mothers argue over a child, and in a moment deliver a verdict that ended all doubt. That clarity did not come from charisma. It came from mastery of inner law. He had trained his thoughts into servants. Look at your own thoughts. Are they lifting you or draining you? Do they serve you or sabotage you? Every fear, every delay, every doubt is a reflection of an untrained mental parliament. The king must sit on the throne, or the voices of chaos will reign. That king must be you. Henry Ford was not the most educated man, but he mastered focus. He trained his mind to stay on one idea until results obeyed. He made time for solitude. He walked silently with questions and returned with answers. This is what separates the leader from the laborer, a governed mind. Do not envy the man who appears successful if he is not at peace within. His gold will rot in his hand. His house will feel like a cage, because no external fortune can outshine the torment of an ungoverned inner world. Solomon's kingdom was great because his mind was first submitted to law. Write this now. I rule my thoughts, therefore I build. That is not opinion, it is principle. Every achievement you seek must first be formed in thought. Thought held in clarity, thought fueled by faith, thought refined by silence, until it becomes command, and command becomes manifestation. You must set law in your thinking. Wake up and decide, what thoughts do I allow? What doubts must be silenced? What affirmations must I repeat until they command obedience? A castle without guard falls. So does a mind without watchmen. Place guards at the gates of your attention. Let your creed be this: my outer world is the reflection of my inner law, and let your actions prove it. Begin each day in silence. Do not touch the world until you have spoken law into your thoughts. Speak your aim aloud. Replace complaint with command. Replace anxiety with order. Solomon sat on a throne, but his real power was invisible. It was in the rhythm of his heart, the structure of his values, the clarity of his attention. You must now build this same throne within. Do not wait until the world slows down. Rule now, or drift forever. Men build empires and lose them. They gain fame and fall into ruin. Why? Because they thought money could fix what only mental law could. They thought applause could substitute for inner peace. But Solomon knew all wealth built outside the boundaries of thought governance will destroy the builder. You do not need another plan. You need inner discipline. You need law of thought. You need silence before decisions. You need vision rehearsed until it becomes instinct. That is how kings move. That is how empires rise. The foundation is always unseen, but it determines everything. Write this and repeat it daily. I rule my thoughts, therefore I build. My outer world is the reflection of my inner law. Let these words become your daily anchor. Let them guide your focus, your speech, your actions. The man who does not rule within will be ruled by the world without. Solomon was not a man of haste. He was not swayed by trends. He knew that thought is seed, and every spoken word is water. He planted with intention. He spoke with calculation. And his kingdom was the harvest of his inner discipline. So shall yours be. Train yourself today. Guard your inner temple. If a thought does not build you, cast it out. If a word does not align with purpose, silence it. Speak only what strengthens. Think only what commands. Hold only the vision that lifts you. All else is noise. You do not need more energy. You need more governance of the energy you already possess. Stop scattering your attention. Start aiming your focus like a sword. The man who rules 10 thoughts completely will always outbuild the man who entertains 100 without control. Final command: begin each morning by declaring your mental law. Repeat aloud: today I rule my thoughts. Today I hold only what builds. Today I move as Solomon, quiet, firm, aligned. Do this for 90 days. Your mind will shift. Your energy will clarify. Your kingdom will begin. Part 3. Every man must ask for wisdom, like Solomon did before he is trusted with power. The man who seeks power before wisdom is a child playing with fire. He may build for a moment, but the structure will not last. Solomon was offered the chance to ask for anything: riches, enemies defeated, long life. But he asked for discernment. He knew that only wisdom could hold what power attracts. Many today ask for wealth without understanding how to rule it. They cry out for recognition without knowing who they are. They desire influence before they've established order within. And so what they gain quickly, they lose just as fast. For the law is eternal. Power demands structure, and structure demands wisdom. You ask why success delays, why wealth evades you, why opportunity circles but does not land? The answer is not in your circumstances. It is in your preparedness. Divine law does not grant command to the man who has not first proven himself capable of sustaining it without destruction. Look closely. Solomon's request pleased God because it was aligned with spiritual law. He did not ask selfishly. He asked lawfully. He asked for what would make him capable of building without collapsing. That is why God gave him not only wisdom, but everything he could have asked for and more. You must learn to pray, speak, and move like Solomon. Stop asking for more. Ask for the mind that can hold more. Ask for the character that sustains abundance. Ask for the discernment to make the right decision when no one is watching and no one will clap. When Andrew Carnegie built his empire, he did not seek talent first. He sought men with judgment, men who would not panic under pressure, men who would choose principle over impulse. That was wisdom in action. The fortune was built because the foundation was mental clarity. You were not denied power. You were protected from it. For power without preparation is poison. It blinds, it distracts, it multiplies the flaws already inside you. But when wisdom precedes reward, power becomes an instrument of construction, not destruction. Make this your creed. I ask for wisdom to match the wealth I will hold. I prepare my mind so my fortune may stand. These are not affirmations. They are laws to live by. Speak them aloud each day until your subconscious begins to obey. Write this now in your private journal. What must I understand in order to carry the future I desire? Do not skip this. Sit with it. Listen. That question is the gate. The answer you receive in silence will be more valuable than any seminar, book, or mentor, for it will come from your inner court. Power tests you. It magnifies who you are in secret. If you cannot govern your desires in obscurity, you will be overthrown in visibility. Solomon understood this. He built first within, and God gave him dominion without. That is the eternal order. Obey it. Do not say you want millions if you cannot manage hundreds. Do not say you want to lead if you cannot lead your own schedule. Do not declare that you are ready for expansion if you still delay the basic disciplines of daily life. That is mockery to the law of wisdom. Begin each week with a review. Have I governed my time? Have I managed my mind? Have I ruled over appetite, speech, emotion? This is your throne room. Your dominion does not begin with a title. It begins with how you handle 24 hours. God gives more to him who masters little. Thomas Edison tested over 10,000 materials before discovering the filament for the light bulb. Why? Because he was obsessed with understanding, not shortcuts. He built a mind that could endure delay. That is wisdom. And that is why his invention shaped generations. You must burn every shallow prayer. You must stop asking for escape. Ask instead for insight. Ask to become the type of man Solomon became, one who rules by discernment, one who multiplies because he first submitted to law, one who waits patiently, learns deeply, moves decisively. Affirm this into your bloodstream. I will not seek shortcuts. I will seek structure. I will not ask for gold. I will ask for understanding. And by law, I will receive both. Say it until your flesh resists. Say it until your fears retreat. Say it until it becomes instinct. This part of the journey is the most painful because it exposes the truth. You are not lacking opportunity. You are lacking capacity. And that capacity must be developed through daily seeking of wisdom, through practice, through silence, through law. Make a vow today, I will spend 1 hour each week in solitude asking only one question. What must I understand to build what I desire? No devices, no noise, just silence and truth. Solomon's wisdom came in quiet. So will yours. Power without wisdom is temporary noise. Wisdom without power is hidden gold. But wisdom with power, this is dominion. And you were born not just to succeed, but to reign in thought, in speech, in behavior, in discipline, in destiny. That reign begins when you, like Solomon, ask not for riches, but for discernment. From this moment on, you will stop chasing results. You will start becoming the man who can carry them. You will no longer weep over delay. You will rejoice over preparation. And when the hour of power comes, you will be ready. Part 4. A wise man knows when to speak and when to remain silent. A single word can crown a man or destroy him. Solomon's throne did not stand upon stone or gold alone. It stood upon judgment, upon the razor's edge of language. He could end a war with one sentence, divide truth from deception with a single reply. Such is the weight of wisdom spoken at the right time. You are taught today that confidence is noise, that power is volume, that dominance is in speaking first. This is a lie. Real power is measured in restraint. The fool speaks everything he knows. The wise man holds what others beg to hear. Solomon ruled through words, not because he spoke often, but because when he spoke, law followed. Your life right now, look at it, is not shaped by what you know. It is shaped by what you say, the words you speak over your future, the tone you use in conflict, the silence you break when patience would have preserved your peace. Understand, speech is not expression. Speech is creation. Every word you say becomes law in the world you inhabit. Solomon's power did not come from an army. It came from timing, the discipline to wait until truth revealed itself, the strength to hold his tongue until speaking would bring clarity, not confusion. This, too, you must master if you would be ruler over your own domain. I will tell you what men do not realize. Most of your battles are lost because you spoke too soon. You negotiated before understanding. You confessed weakness instead of commanding direction. You reacted where you should have remained still. Let that pain instruct you. John D. Rockefeller, one of the greatest empire builders the world has known, was known not for loud speeches, but for measured silence. When competitors panicked, he paused. When rumors swirled, he waited. He once said, "The ability to deal with people is as purchasable a commodity as sugar or coffee." But more powerful than that, he practiced discipline of the tongue. Andrew Carnegie, too, listened more than he spoke. In his mastermind gatherings, he often remained quiet for long stretches, only speaking when his mind had formed something that moved strategy forward. That silence was not passivity. It was the sharpening of internal law. I tell you now, if you want dominion over results, you must first master restraint. The man who cannot control his tongue cannot build anything that lasts. For all things are spoken into form, your health, your relationships, your finances, your purpose. The undisciplined tongue is a destroyer of nations and dreams. You must build a law over your mouth, a code. Say nothing reactive. Say nothing unmeasured. Say nothing that weakens your future, even in jest. Speak with the weight of one who knows that words are weapons. You can use them to destroy or you can use them to govern. Each morning say aloud, "I speak only when it builds." My words are weapons of order. I govern my tongue. Therefore, I command my outcomes. Let this become the commandment of your new self. When you're tempted to speak for validation, pause. When someone wrongs you and you wish to lash out, pause. When you feel uncertain and wish to fill the air with sound, pause. The man who can wait has more power than the man who reacts. Let me show you something else. Words not only govern results, they reveal who you believe you are. When you say, "I can't," or "I hope," or "I wish," you expose your lack of dominion. But when you say, "I will," "I decide," "I commit," you plant the seed of kingship. This is why Solomon's words lasted beyond his lifetime. They were not mere sentences. They were eternal laws clothed in parables. He said, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." He taught that words must be guided by wisdom, not emotion. Make your home a training ground. Begin speaking with order in small things. Bless your food. Give command to your mornings. Correct your posture with your words. Build your outer world by first mastering the inner rhythm of your tongue. If you are to build an empire, you must build first with silence. Solomon's empire did not begin with a speech. It began with a prayer for wisdom and a silent understanding of law. You, too, must create space for silence. Daily, sit alone, ask nothing, say nothing, listen. There, the seed of power will begin to grow. It is in silence that you understand who you are. It is in restraint that you begin to sense the movements of the higher law. Men who cannot be still are slaves to the world's chaos. But men who master stillness bend the world to their law. Let this part of your transformation be clear. Power does not belong to the loudest, it belongs to the wisest. And wisdom does not cry out in the streets, it whispers in the chamber of the soul. Learn to hear it, learn to speak it, learn to wait until it rises within. Affirm again now, with reverence, I speak only what builds. I rule my world through restraint. My words do not perform, they command. Say it again until you feel the power return to your soul. Your next battle will not be won by strategy. It will be won by discipline of the tongue. Do not interrupt the wisdom being formed in you by chasing the approval of men. Speak only when the voice within confirms the words are worthy of your future. Let us proceed now to the next part, where we will multiply what you are learning, not alone, but with the right men. For wisdom shared lawfully becomes power multiplied. Part 5. Wisdom multiplies when shared, but only with the prepared. You must understand this next law if you would rise to any station of power. Wisdom does not multiply in noise. It multiplies in order. It multiplies in circles of men who honor law, seek growth, and walk in reverence. Solomon did not share his proverbs with fools. He wrote them for sons, for seekers, for those who feared God and honored discipline. Look around you. Who surrounds your mind? Who hears your ambitions? Who shapes your thinking without speaking a word? If your circle mocks principle, jokes about discipline, fears silence, or chases entertainment, then you are not in a mastermind. You are in a pit. Charles Schwab did not ascend because of charisma or genius. He was surrounded by a circle of principle. He served under Carnegie, one of the most law-abiding minds of his age. Schwab absorbed the order of Carnegie's methods, the vision of his planning, the confidence of his word. He rose because he multiplied wisdom through association. There is no self-made man. There are only self-aligned men who surround themselves with others aligned to the same law. If you want to rise, you must first purge the foolish. You must then assemble the wise. You must build your circle with intention. One man who honors law is worth more than 100 who entertain themselves with mediocrity. Ask yourself now, who are your 5? Name them. Would you entrust your fortune to their hands? Would you share your prayers with them? Would you bring your definite chief aim to their counsel? If not, you already know what must be done. Delay no longer. You cannot become Solomon in the company of clowns. Build a law for your counsel. 1 meeting per week, 1 hour of silence, 1 principle studied, 1 action agreed upon. This is not a social gathering. This is a sacred meeting of minds. Let each man speak only what strengthens. Let each man be held to his word. Let the standard be high, or let him leave. Solomon wrote, "Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another." This is not poetry. This is spiritual metallurgy. When minds meet in truth, the friction births strength. But if iron strikes wood, both are damaged. Do not bring wisdom to a fool. Do not waste principle on the passive. Understand now, your future does not depend on your effort alone. It depends on your environment of thought. You rise not merely by what you do, but by what those around you allow you to become. If your surroundings weaken your discipline, you will decay no matter how noble your desire. The law is exact. You either build by law or you erode by influence. Ford had Edison, I had Carnegie, Solomon had his scribes, even Jesus had 12 men to whom he revealed deeper truths. This is not tradition, it is structure, and without structure, no wisdom multiplies. You may have knowledge, but unless it is shared with the prepared, it dies with you. Do not seek crowds, seek counsels. Do not crave followers, crave builders. Gather those who seek not applause, but application. Your life must become a furnace of principle. Only those who can endure its heat are meant to be near. Repeat this law within yourself. I build a circle of wise men. Power multiplies where wisdom is honored. Say it again. Write it. Speak it to your reflection each morning. This is not a motto, it is a binding agreement between your destiny and your discipline. This is why you must take record. Begin today. Write the names of the men you must release. Write the qualities of the men you must seek. Speak your intention aloud. The universe obeys clarity, not confusion. And now let me warn you. The wrong circle will cost you years. The wrong influence will rob you of your fire. Some men destroy not with fists, but with passivity. Some weaken your aim simply by existing near it without reverence. They drain you with their comfort. They anchor you with their fears. Cut them now. Choose instead those who sharpen your thought, those who ask strong questions, those who move in silence, those who carry their own weight. When 5 men think by law, they build an empire no storm can touch. This part of your life cannot be optional. Build the circle, protect the standard, multiply the wisdom. It is the way of Solomon. It is the way of Schwab. It is the only way a king is ever truly made. Are you ready to continue? In the next part, I will show you why all riches are lost without purpose, how wealth, without a vision to anchor it, will slip through your fingers like dust. Let us now move to part 6. Part 6, Riches without purpose is poverty in disguise. Solomon once warned of a man who works, who toils, who gathers wealth by day and night, only to leave it to another, one who did not earn it, one who does not understand its value. Why? Because the first man had no vision behind his labor. He was rich in gold, but bankrupt in aim. He built with sweat, but not with spirit. He gained the world and lost the reason. This, my friend, is the silent plague of our time. Men chase coins, but forget cause. They build enterprises without a reason deeper than appetite. And though they count money, they cannot measure meaning. Their wealth becomes a curse. Their labor becomes bondage. Because they forgot what Solomon knew, purpose precedes profit. If your riches are not tied to a clear and definite aim, you will either lose them, misuse them, or they will rule you. And when riches rule a man, he becomes a servant in fine garments. You may impress others, but you will remain a stranger to yourself. You may feed your vanity, but you will starve your soul. Henry Ford did not merely build automobiles, he built mobility. He envisioned a world where the common man moved with dignity. His aim was not merely money, it was transformation. That aim directed every factory, every system, every invention, because he saw beyond the coin to the crown it could serve. You must now ask yourself, what is the purpose behind your pursuit? Why do you want riches? To escape pain, to prove something to others, to silence your doubt. None of these are worthy reasons. None of these will hold under pressure, and none of these will attract lasting wealth. Your purpose must be anchored in law, in contribution, in principle. You must want riches not only to live well, but to build well, not to consume, but to construct, not to hide, but to expand. This is what Solomon asked for when he prayed, not for wealth, but for wisdom to govern well. And because his purpose was righteous, riches chased him. Write your purpose now, not tomorrow. Now your mind will not obey aim that remains unspoken. Write your definite chief aim in a sentence that cuts like steel. Let it be so clear, so rooted in truth, that your subconscious cannot ignore it. Then go further. Tie every financial goal you have to this purpose. Do not just want a business that lifts others. Do not just want land that becomes sanctuary. Do not just want money that multiplies the law you believe in. Understand money is not evil. But money without direction becomes a weapon against the man who holds it. Purpose is the hand that steadies the sword. Without it, you will bleed by your own ambition. And let me speak boldly now. If you are unwilling to write your purpose, to speak it aloud, to repeat it daily, then you do not deserve the riches you claim to want. For riches are servants of the committed, not of the curious. Repeat after me. I do not gather wealth without direction. Purpose is the foundation of my fortune. Let that line be the wall that no lie may pass. Let that law be the compass that no distraction can shake. Each morning, read your aim. Each evening, review your action. Ask, did I move in alignment? Did I advance my purpose? If not, the day is lost, no matter how much you earned. Build rituals around your aim. Let your habits reflect it. Let your speech honor it. Let your circle strengthen it. For the man who lives without aim lives without command, and the man who moves without command becomes the laborer of another man's vision. Solomon taught that to work without purpose is to sow into the wind. You may be busy, but you are not building. You may feel movement, but you will reap dust. Without a purpose, your energy is stolen by every passing desire. With a purpose, every act becomes a brick laid upon destiny. If today you feel lost, confused, scattered, it is not because you lack strength. It is because you lack aim. Aim clarifies. Aim orders. Aim turns fire into light. Do not ask for more motivation. Ask for more alignment. Let me remind you, wealth is not your problem. Direction is. Strategy is not your enemy. Vagueness is. There are millions of men who work hard and still feel hollow because they never answered one sacred question. Why must I build? If your answer does not ignite your spine, it is not yet true. This is the law. Only the man with purpose can carry the weight of power. Riches do not destroy the worthy. They reveal the unprepared. Without aim, gold will rot you. With aim, it will elevate you. So speak it again. I do not gather wealth without direction. Purpose is the foundation of my fortune. Say it until every cell in your body obeys it. Say it until every act you take flows from it. Say it until your entire life becomes a reflection of that inner law. And now, let us continue. In the next part, you will discover how wisdom turns every loss into instruction. How even your enemies and failures can become teachers, if you think as Solomon thought. Let us move forward. Part 7. Wisdom turns enemies into teachers, and failure into instruction. If you desire to rise like Solomon, you must not only seek wisdom when life is peaceful, you must mine wisdom from pain, from trial, from the sting of error. The man who learns only when praised remains a child, but the man who studies his setbacks becomes a master. This is the law of refinement. Every failure is a message sent to forge your mind. Solomon was not great because he avoided confrontation. He was great because he judged wisely in it. He did not turn from the uncomfortable. He walked into it with discernment. And from this, his name endured. The fool runs from correction. The wise man gathers it as treasure. You must now decide what your failures will mean. Will they become tombstones or blueprints? Will you bury your ambition beneath them or build your next strategy on their message? Most men hide from defeat, but you must become the man who hunts it down and wrings its wisdom dry. Let me tell you about Abraham Lincoln. He failed in business. He lost elections. He suffered depression. He was mocked, opposed, misunderstood. But he recorded his setbacks, studied them, and learned faster than his losses could destroy him. He was not merely resilient, he was intelligent in defeat. He chose wisdom over bitterness. The principle is this: a man who learns faster than he loses cannot be stopped. Let the world swing against you. Let others lie, betray, mock. Let delays fall heavy. But if you transmute each blow into understanding, you will rise with more power than any man who has never struggled. How do you transmute failure into fuel? First, you must record. Keep a book of errors. Write what happened, how it happened, and what thought, belief, or habit made room for it. This is not weakness. This is warfare. You must become the general of your mind, and generals keep records. Second, extract the law. Behind every failure is a broken principle. Ask, what law did I violate? Did I ignore discipline? Did I trust the wrong counsel? Did I speak without aim? Did I drift from my purpose? Find the thread. Cut it from your thinking. Replace it with command. Third, rewrite your behavior immediately. You do not heal by understanding alone, you heal by corrective action. Speak your new command aloud, link it to your aim. Let each setback become a stone beneath your staircase. There is no shame in falling, only in failing to use the fall. And finally, review weekly. Wisdom must not be remembered. It must be rehearsed. Every 7 days, open your book. Read your lessons. Remind yourself of the laws you've written. Discipline comes not from pain, but from organized response to pain. Say this now and believe it. Failure feeds my wisdom. No enemy can stop a man who learns faster than he loses. These are not soft words. These are the weapons of inner kingship. These are the words Solomon would speak before judgment. These are the words Lincoln lived by when he walked alone. Understand, your enemy is not the man who opposes you. Your enemy is the part of you that still refuses to learn. You are not weak because you struggle. You are weak because you repeat without correction. That ends now. Do not seek revenge. Seek refinement. Do not waste time proving others wrong. Prove your new command right. When a man truly learns from loss, he becomes dangerous. He moves without apology. He speaks without repetition. He acts without hesitation. Even those who hate you become your teachers. Even those who betrayed you become your mirrors. For the wise man says, "You showed me where I was blind, and for that I am now armed." This is not poetic. This is practical power. You must now practice it. Begin today. Write your most recent loss. Write the law you ignored. Write the new law you now live by. Speak it aloud. Repeat it in the morning. Measure your actions against it each night. This is how Solomon thought. This is how Lincoln ruled. This is how you rise. There is no such thing as wasted pain in the life of a wise man. Every scar becomes scripture. Every enemy becomes a sermon. Every delay becomes design, but only if you choose it to be so. Let your mind now agree. Failure feeds my wisdom. I cannot be defeated, only educated. We are now prepared to move to the next law, the next layer of inner kingdom. In the following part, I will show you why discipline without law is fragile, and how every empire, whether of the mind or the marketplace, rises or falls based on its standard. Prepare to rebuild your internal kingdom. Part 8, a kingdom without discipline, collapses, a mind without law wanders. Solomon's empire was not built on chaos. It was not held together by charisma or force. It was sustained by order, by discipline under divine law. His court did not rule by passion. It ruled by structure. His name did not endure because he was clever. It endured because his life followed an unwavering standard. Understand this principle. Power without law crumbles. Talent without structure rots. Passion without principle betrays itself. Many men have vision. Few build systems to protect that vision. Many begin in fire. Few endure in rhythm. The true king is not he who inspires a crowd. It is he who masters his days. The same is true for your life. Your home is your kingdom. Your calendar is your court. Your morning is your throne. And if you do not govern them, they will betray you. The walls of a kingdom are not built once, they are maintained daily, and every habit is either a brick or a crack. Let me ask you, do you have laws for yourself, or do you move based on how you feel? Do you rise with intention, or delay because the mood isn't right? Do you write your vision daily, or forget it in the fog of your distractions? The man who waits for discipline will never have it. The man who writes his law and lives by it becomes unstoppable. Solomon upheld spiritual and civil order. He judged with clarity. He preserved peace with law. And the same truth applies to you. Without personal discipline, your wealth will fade. Without structure, your creativity will scatter. Without order, your power will leak from every corner of your life. Now observe how Thomas Edison lived. He did not merely experiment, he scheduled invention. His breakthroughs came not in chaos, but in routine. He showed up to his laboratory daily. He slept little but consistently. His assistants worked in shifts. Why? Because he understood. Miracles are born from method. Law in action creates power in output. Andrew Carnegie? He didn't just hire workers, he designed systems. He trained minds. He scaled order. His steel empire wasn't sustained by effort. It was sustained by laws that multiplied value without burning men out. He once said, put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket. That is not recklessness. That is law and focus. What does this mean for you? It means that you must stop improvising your greatness. You must stop hoping that motivation will strike. You must build law, daily, sacred, unbreakable law that governs how you speak, how you rise, how you work, how you rest, and how you respond to resistance. Let me give you instruction now. Write these laws down. First, law of rising. What time shall the king wake? This is not up for debate. The throne waits. The world responds to the man who owns the morning. Second, law of direction. Before the sun touches your skin, speak your definite chief aim aloud. Speak it with power. You are not waiting for clarity. You are commanding it. You are not hoping for direction. You are reminding yourself of the path you already chose. Third, law of work. Set your output standard, not effort, execution. How many pages, how many calls, how many solved problems? This is not about busyness. This is about dominion. If you do not measure, you cannot command. Fourth, law of thought. Do not permit every thought to enter your gates. Guard your attention. If the thought breeds fear, starve it. If it breeds confusion, question it. If it contradicts your purpose, replace it. You are not your thoughts. You are the ruler of your thoughts. Fifth, law of reflection. At day's end, sit in silence. Audit your law. Where did you obey? Where did you drift? Write it. Learn from it. Speak new instruction for tomorrow. A king does not sleep without knowing how he governed. Repeat this now. Order builds power. I uphold inner law before I expand outer dominion. Say it again, slowly. Let it sink into the walls of your mind. You are the architect. You are the judge. You are the executor of inner law. Now understand the consequence of ignoring this. A man with no law becomes a servant to every impulse. His mornings are wasted. His power leaks through indecision. His thoughts become fog. His results depend on luck. And no matter how talented he is, he cannot be trusted with dominion, because no kingdom can stand without law. Solomon knew this. He enforced it. And so must you. Not once. Daily. Discipline is not a feeling, it is a structure. It is a temple built from repeated acts of obedience to a written standard. If your life feels out of control, it is not your circumstances. It is your lack of law. You must now become sacred about your structure. Defend it. Let no man mock it. Let no fatigue break it. If it is written, it must be lived. If it is spoken, it must be executed. For the mind with law is a fortress, and the world bows to the man who governs himself with precision. Let this be your covenant. I will no longer drift. I will no longer rely on emotion. I write my law, I live my law, I rise by law, and nothing shall shake the man who stands upon it. Now that your foundation is set, you are ready for the highest truth Solomon ever spoke, the one law that anchors all others, the final gate to wisdom and riches, reverence for the source. In the next part, I will reveal the most sacred law Solomon gave, not as a preacher, not as a mystic, but as a builder of empires, and it is this: fear God and obey his commandments. What this means and how it will define your future will be made plain. Part 9, Solomon's greatest wisdom, was this: fear God and obey the law. There are many men who command wealth, many who rule with might, many who gather possessions, build cities, lead industries, but among them few last, fewer leave legacy, and almost none walk in peace. Why? Because they possess riches but lack reverence. They obey the law of effort but ignore the higher law of origin, the law of God. Solomon was not only a king of wealth, he was a king of order, a king of judgment, a king of peace. And yet when he penned the conclusion to his life, when he wrote the final lesson from a mountain of gold, servants, wisdom, and power, he did not say, get rich. He did not say, build fast. He said, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. This is the final gate, the highest law, the secret behind every enduring empire, alignment with divine order, not religious performance, not ritual, not image, but internal reverence, the kind that says, I am not the source, I am the steward. My life is not mine to waste. It is mine to govern in harmony with the mind that created me. Hear me now. Men fall not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked reverence. Nations fall not because they lacked armies, but because they abandoned divine law. Solomon saw this. He watched kingdoms crumble after pride rejected the one who gave power. He knew no wealth can preserve a man who no longer honors the source of that wealth. You are not being asked to join a church. You are not being told to adopt empty rituals. What I teach you now is higher than denomination. It is the law that governs the seed, the harvest, the heartbeat, the thought, the consequence. Divine law is not man-made. It is the origin of all true law. Carnegie understood this, though he never called himself religious. He honored the law of cause and effect. He studied the law of compensation. He gave away more than he kept. Why? Because he knew you must align with the higher order if you expect your work to last beyond your breath. Ford, too, did not prey on platforms, but he obeyed the law of vision, the law of usefulness, the law of organized service. These are not inventions of industry. They are echoes of the law Solomon lived by. They are spiritual truths made physical through consistent application. Let us now go deeper into what it means to fear God. It does not mean terror. It does not mean superstition. It means awe. It means respect. It means that you place divine law above your impulses, that you bend your ego to a greater order, that you understand you do not create truth, you align with it. To fear God means that you no longer think you are the author of consequence. You understand there is a justice higher than the courts, a memory greater than your mind, a reward more eternal than money. You live not to please men, but to walk rightly before the divine judge who sees your thought before your action. This reverence does not make you weak. It makes you dangerous, because the man who fears God cannot be bribed. He cannot be broken by applause. He cannot be bought by offers of the world. His standard is higher. His conscience is sharper. His results are more permanent. He does not fall because he does not bend. And to keep his commandments means you obey the laws that govern power. You do not lie for gain. You do not steal time from your purpose. You do not murder your potential by serving lust, envy, or pride. You do not bear false witness against yourself with lazy thinking. You honor your calling, your work, your family, your future. This is not moralism. It is strategy, Solomon understood. Divine obedience is the most powerful principle on earth. It makes the poor man rise and the mighty man fall. It builds peace that outlasts gold. It turns ordinary men into kings because it makes their authority unshakable. Say these words aloud with me. I rise by obedience to divine law. True wisdom begins with reverence. Again, slowly. I rise by obedience to divine law. True wisdom begins with reverence. This is not an affirmation of ego. It is the declaration of one who chooses to be governed by the highest standard in existence. Now I will ask you, what law do you serve? Are your days shaped by purpose or convenience? Do you speak what is right or what is popular? Do you honor your conscience or dull it with distraction? The man who walks with divine law walks alone at first, but soon the world follows him because his fruit is undeniable. Look at the decay of the world around you. Men mock wisdom. They elevate sensation. They destroy family, destroy identity, destroy order, and then cry for peace. But peace is the product of law honored. Without reverence, there is only noise. Without obedience, there is only collapse. Solomon ruled over Israel, yes, but more importantly, he ruled over himself. His wealth was great, but his insight was greater, and his insight was born not of intellect, but of fear of God. That is the source, that is the law, and it is your key to every power you seek. If you remember nothing else from this entire speech, remember this. The man who aligns with divine order cannot be stopped. Others may rise quicker, others may seem louder, but they fade. You endure, because you are not building with dust. You are building with eternal material. Now write this into your journal. Engrave it on your wall. Speak it every morning before you begin. I live by eternal law. I am governed by the truth that does not change. I obey the wisdom of the source, and therefore I build what cannot be broken. You are now ready for the final part, the conclusion, the bringing together of every law, every insight, every command that Solomon lived by. In the final words, I will teach you how to make this wisdom your identity, not just your knowledge. Conclusion. Solomon's power is not buried in the past. It is waiting in you. You have heard the law. You have walked with kings. You have seen what made Solomon great, not his palace, not his treasury, not his robes, but his mind aligned with divine order. And now it is your turn. For what good is truth unless it becomes flesh in your habits? What power is wisdom if it remains theory and not transformation? This world does not belong to the loud. It does not belong to the impulsive. It does not belong to the clever schemer. It belongs to the man who rules himself and governs that rule by unalterable law. The man who honors understanding before opinion. The man who speaks less and builds more. The man who seeks first the invisible order and then commands the visible world. Solomon's secret is not locked in Scripture. It is coded into law. And every man, regardless of his beginning, may partake in it. For divine law is no respecter of persons. It does not care for your name, your background, your feelings, your titles. It responds only to obedience. And you now hold the principles. Repeat these truths aloud, not as a performance, but as instruction to your mind, as seal upon your spirit. I live by the wisdom of kings. I obey law and command wealth. The kingdom I build begins within. Now let us review what has been given. You have been taught that understanding is greater than riches, that thoughts must be governed before cities, that silence can be mightier than armies, that wisdom shared with the prepared multiplies power, that riches without purpose dissolve, that failure is instruction, that discipline without inner law collapses, that reverence is the root of all true power. These are not isolated lessons. They are one system of law. They are not ancient dust. They are eternal structure. And that structure waits in you. Yes, you. No matter how lost, how poor, how inconsistent, how doubting you have been, today you begin again not as a beggar for riches, but as a builder of law. And if you ask, where do I begin? I will answer with this. You begin by writing your definite chief aim, your purpose, your throne, your vision. And then you set law around it. Law of waking, law of thought, law of speech, law of decision, law of action. These become your guards. These become your walls. These become your peace. Solomon did not wander into greatness. He built it by law. And now you must too. You must build your aim with understanding. Fortify your thoughts with clarity. Guard your words with intention. Multiply your influence with discipline. Obey the source with reverence, and then stand. Do not return to the weak self who chased results without structure, who sought applause instead of principle, who drifted because he did not choose law. That man is dead. He served his purpose to show you who you are not. Now you rise. Say it again with breath and boldness. I live by the wisdom of kings. I obey law and command wealth. The kingdom I build begins within. The silence that follows is not emptiness. It is space for instruction. A king listens more than he speaks. And your next command is not to listen more speeches. It is to write your law, speak it daily, act it hourly, and govern it until the world has no choice but to reflect your inner dominion. You do not need more opinions. You need law. You do not need more motivation. You need understanding. You do not need more approval. You need alignment. These are the treasures Solomon possessed, and they are now yours. Take them, write them, speak them, live them, and walk like a man who is taught by kings.